everybody. This is NCPD-TV, First Watch, Pro Police News. I'm Bert Eyler. My co-host is Jim Fotis. Jim, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well, Bert. You're looking very handsome. You look very ready to do the show today, Bert.
I'm trying. I got my one of my sponsor shirts. Well, not sponsor shirts. This is one of our officers that we support, Sal Aldrade out of New Jersey. His case is probably not going to go until 2027, but we'll save that for another day. But I want to get going on a couple things. As everybody knows, we also have another a DBA that's part of National Center for Police Defense called Back to Badge 911. And you've been leading that pretty well, Jim. I just want to know if you had any updates on how that's working.
We have several cases that we're going through, and we'll be sending out more checks. We're just waiting for additional money to come in. If anybody has read about or needs to get in touch with Back to Badge, they can either call our info line or give us, send additional checks to our office. And we got a nice letter from the sheriff. Her name is Sheriff Rosie Cadiro Stutz. And it was her deputy that we sent a check to, Deputy Sheriff Jamilio. And she sent us a nice thank you letter. We do not get very many thank you letters.
No, we don't.
But
that was from Miami-Dade Sheriff's
Miami-Dade, that's right, Sheriff's Department. And we thank her very much for sending that letter. And we're going to be sending out as many checks as we can this year. We're hoping if we can raise enough money that we raise it from $1,000 for deceased officers killed in the line of duty to $5,000. And we may raise that, and we may raise that in increments, but we're going to try and raise it. Our goal over the next 5 years is to raise it to $25,000.
That would be awesome if we could do that. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah. And on our cases, I do have one update for you, Jim. Daniel Perry's case. We have talked about it before. He was the active duty Army sergeant out of Austin, Texas, that was an Uber driver. He ended up being charged and found guilty of murder, and Governor Abbott pardoned him, gave him a full pardon. And they also had a charge called deadly misconduct that they did not pursue until after he was pardoned. And that was my firm belief, because normally, as you know, I mean, if you have multiple charges, you do them all at once. So the deadly misconduct charge, his trial was March 23rd. His defense team had tried numerous times to get a change of venue. And this is why they should have got a change of venue, because no sooner did they try to pick a jury than the judge called a mistrial. And the reason why I called a mistrial is they ran out of jurors to pick from. I've never heard that. Like, the jury pool, they ran out of jurors, so they couldn't pick 12 jurors to sit on the for the trial, if you can believe that one.
And you know, DA Garza has just not let up on Daniel Perry. He was pardoned by the governor. He was a very good military officer, and he's lost everything, Bert. I mean, his family has spent every dime they have, and he just continues to go after this poor man, and until he breaks him. I mean, he's just relentless to go after Daniel Perry.
Yeah. So we don't know if they're going to request a change of venue and be granted it and continue, or if they're just going to be, just say we're done with the case. Because as we talked about last week with Chance Britches and the evidence that wasn't provided to him on his case, they're looking at asking for a dismissal with prejudice. So it's going to be an interesting one. So we'll keep everybody updated.
Yes.
And the only other one is Chance Britch's trial is coming up June 1st. That's the next trial that's coming up. All the other cases, everybody, you could go to our website, www.nationalcenterforpolicedefense.com, to see all the updated cases, but that's the current one that is coming up. The only other one is Daniel Sanchez. His trial was a hung jury, and they've rescheduled his trial, if you can believe they're going to retry him, on August 10th of this year. And he ended up having to shoot somebody with his rifle that was actively shooting into a townhouse with his rifle, and then pointed the rifle at Officer Sanchez. And DA Garza charged him. So
once again, DA Garza and the Austin Police Department. And the one thing I have to say, Bert, we have seen it change since President Trump has taken office, that we are winning many of the cases as opposed to losing many of the cases. It's a little better time, but we're still having police officers ambushed in the street and a lot of them taken down.
yes, yeah, and we'll have more updates coming up. We have 2 presidential pardons we're trying to get. So hopefully, if President Trump is listening or anybody who has contact with him, we have Shane Layman, who was a Washington PD police officer, and also Chad Scott, former DEA agent out of Louisiana. Both got railroaded. So we're trying to get pardons for both of them,
Right?
and they're also both on our website. So that's great news. This is going to be our segment, 2 Cops and a Brother. Y'all watched us last week. I thought we did really well. And Henry, we said we were coming back with an update on the fool who ran his vehicle into the cops. So what do you got for us?
Good morning, brothers. Greetings. I am actually in Lynchburg, Virginia this week. And yes, as for the update of the fool who used his car as a ramming tool, this actually took place, guys. This may not shock you. Fairview Heights, Illinois. So outside of Chicago, near Chicago, and his name is Keyshawn Jennings. Keyshawn was not a young kid. Keyshawn was 28 years old at the time he did this at the end of 2025 last year, and he was charged with aggravated assault, obviously, aggravated battery, and criminal damage to government-supported property. And so as of this month, his trial has not taken place yet, but because of the actions, you guys were talking about some of the ridiculous actions of the prosecutor there in Texas, but I can say in this case, at least the prosecutors had enough sense to realize he should be detained before his trial, because if he'll ram a car into a sitting police cruiser, it doesn't usually stop there. It definitely can intensify from there and get someone seriously injured or killed. Keyshawn is spending a lot of time
behind bars,
Fairview Heights County jail.
Yeah, that's surprising in Illinois, though.
Right, that's what I said.
Because they've been very pro criminal, like letting them out.
Correct. Yeah, and that's why I said I was glad to give you guys an actual update of dealing with what we're dealing with in Texas that actually makes sense. So who would have thought that we would actually have better judicial common sense coming out of Illinois than in Texas? But it is Austin, so that's an outlier.
There you go. And didn't T. John, after he walked around, didn't he say to the police officer when he was asked, why did you do that? because I wanted to kill a cop.
Yeah. He said because he hates cops. and that
Because
was actually
I don't
used
remember. It
against
was
the
your
idiot. Yeah, that was
yeah.
used against him, because of course his defense, of course wanted him to be released. And that actually is what came up during that, as he's already stated his intentions. And like we said, it was so ridiculous when we viewed it that, like you guys pointed out, is actually quite very dangerous. And I did get an update. The two people who were in the car that were originally pulled over, they were not injured. So we thank God
And
for
the
that. They
officer
were
was
not
fine?
injured. Right. And the officer was not
Okay.
injured. Keyjohn's Camaro is no longer with us and is being used for scrap. But Keyjohn is probably working on license plates as we speak for being an idiot. So far it has worked out pretty good.
Well, like we were talking about before when we watched it last week, it was a textbook DUI case for the officer, and then he threw in, well, how he wanted to kill or harm law enforcement. I'm like, whoa, that don't open your eyes. Nothing will.
Yes. And so this is also a class 2 felony. And so he's potentially
Oh, there you
looking at a
go.
minimum of 3 years, a maximum of 7.
You know what? We got a lot more to talk about. We'll have to save some of that for next time. But we got another segment coming up with two cops and a brother. I like to call, "You fool, you should have just listened to the po-po." So I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to turn it over to Hollywood because this is his segment, because he finds this stuff, and we'll go with that. What do we got?
Okay, this one, guys. Unfortunately, we're going to cover ones like we said where it's obvious that people are idiots, but in this case, you do have a loss of life. This is Hartford, Connecticut, February.
Okay, he has a knife.
And he has a big knife. That's a big ass knife. That's a butcher's knife.
The guy by the door, though, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, let me just make a comment, guys.
Okay.
One consistent thing you're going to see from a lot of these videos I'm going to present to you is there's always going to be some woman off camera screaming like a banshee.
Drop the knife!
You guys are seeing this live for the first time.
Go for it.
Drop the knife! Drop the knife, please. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. I'm just creating distance. Drop the knife. Taser.
Did you guys catch that?
Well, I mean, he deployed the taser, but I think my issue right now is, they're doing everything they can. I noticed the one officer with the taser, he was fumbling he had the taser and his weapon in the hand at the same
and
time.
the other guy got out of the car without having anything and his gun out or anything else.
Correct.
I mean, it's small critiques, but I mean, at some point you're going to, unless you're going to keep backing up, you're going to have to discharge your weapon. You're looking at officer safety. You're looking at everything. Yeah. The taser didn't work. Now he's
Correct.
Coming after the officer. Now they're in a crossfire because one's front and back.
Correct.
But
this is getting hairy real quick, right?
Yeah.
Now he's got a hard shot.
Too close. Too close.
Stevie! Yo, Stevie! Drop the knife. Hey,
Wow.
Stevie, drop the knife. Come on, baby. Come on.
That's way too close.
Stevie, come on.
Now it sounds like the officers know him though, because they're saying Stevie.
Yeah, see, there's people in the community screaming his name.
Okay. Stevie, drop.
I'm thinking if they know him and had contact with him before, that could play a factor on their decision on whether why they haven't shot yet.
Yes.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. No, drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Stop. Drop the knife. Drop.
So I cut out what happens next so we don't get, flagged on YouTube because it shows it. But he did get shot because he kept charging. And, of course, you guys got to see now real time of how it played out from the different officers' body cam.
Well, they're justified. Jim, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, they're justified. And like I said, Jim may be different. Back when they were at the cruiser and he started walking aggressively towards him, I think I probably would have shot then.
At that point, he was truly justified. When he got out of the car and he was walking toward that officer, the officer should have had his gun out already. And of course, he was in danger. Letting somebody get that close to you.
Yes.
But, but like we talked about on our side, looking at it and not Monday night quarterbacking it.
Of course.
The way we're trained, 21 foot, he got close enough that it's time to shoot, because the reason why they say the 21 foot, even if you shoot them, sometimes they'll be able to close that gap.
Correct.
And possibly stab you severely.
Correct.
Before he, drops down from the gunshot wounds.
I call on justice for this family. We can't bring him back, but we can certainly make sure that he's not forgotten.
Again, this is why my black card has been taken away and I've never asked for it back, guys, because that's what I'm talking about. We've seen this we've seen this scene play over and over. In the last 6 years, it's been ridiculous. But we can say the last 40 years easily. And that's not us saying that every officer involved shooting is justified, but this is obvious. These clowns come on the tail end, and he literally said out of his ignorant ass mouth, why didn't you just tase him when they tried tasing him 3 times?
Right.
It's unbelievable. And
the thing with that,
what they want is to stir up. If they could have, that could have gone downhill very quickly. You get 30 or 40 people all converge and start surrounding officers. This goes sideways really quick.
Yeah, it does. And the thing is, like you were saying, the guy said, why didn't you tase him? Which they look like they tried to do it.
Yes.
But in law enforcement, and Jim will say in training, like, if someone's coming after you with a knife, that's a deadly weapon.
Correct.
You don't go to a less lethal.
No.
You just don't. You go to your deadly force weapon. And then if they drop the knife, then yes, you can transition to the less lethal, because now they no longer have a deadly weapon.
Yes.
That's my point on it. It's mind-boggling.
Assume he's going to try to reference that he felt in fear of his life. The question then becomes, well, why didn't the other 3 officers shoot? Why didn't the other officers use 9 bullets? Why did they have restraint?
Crump says they'll be exploring all civil legal options and say they're advocating for criminal charges to be investigated on the state level too.
Really ticks me off with, the community leadership.
Yes.
Right? They villainize law enforcement, and that's what's causing a lot of this.
Yes.
And I know that gentleman up there sues cops left and right.
Yep.
And get your take on it. My biggest thing is, you know what? You let the justice system work. You do your investigation on law enforcement. You find out honestly if it's justified. If it's justified, you come out and say it. But we also need community leaders like these guys to come out and say, you know what? It was a terrible tragedy, but the officers had nothing else they could do. You know, they're screaming they want justice. And they, you know, somebody, and sadly, he did have a mental health issue. Breakdown, whatever you want to say. Well, if you don't want law enforcement to get involved on mental health issues, then don't call us.
Bingo.
Call mental health. Let them know, hey, he's having a breakdown. I need somebody to come out. He has a knife. And let them deal with it.
And it sounds harsh, but it's true and it's right. It's tight, but it's right, brother.
So then you get a stabbing of a social worker.
Right.
And then the cops are to blame on that one as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, what you needed to call was an ice cream truck.
Do you guys see? So I'm dealing with post-traumatic stress from spending 20 plus years in environments filming ass clowns like this. Because do you see how he tried to make it into a revival at the press conference? That's to keep the community emotional and not thinking. That's the game. That's the playbook that's been run for 70 years. And
Never thought about it that way before.
Bottom of every socioeconomic category almost in the country. You can't keep falling for this. This guy runs around chasing police cars, filing frivolous lawsuits and lining his pocket. And notice the two that are there. You have the senior race baiter and his heir apparent. We can't be this. You can't be this blind, guys. I'm sorry. You just can't. And again, if you guys say anything where you're just two racist white guys, I'm like, okay, let's remove that. Look at the results. These communities where they do this don't get any better. They don't.
No.
I mean, and work with the community. I mean, law enforcement, even Jim will say, we want to work with the communities. I mean, the community wants to be safe.
Yes.
So how do we make them safe? But what else could you have done? Right? Is there more training out there? No. And I honestly believe the reason why he didn't get shot earlier is those cops may have been a little bit afraid of the media or what was going to happen when and if they had to pull that trigger.
Absolutely.
No one there wanted to pull a trigger. And that officer was strong enough to say, you know what? You know, he's coming towards me. He still has a knife. You know, I'm going to have to protect myself and everybody else around because you don't know what he's going to do. So
correct.
That's the biggest problem.
Right. And it's a microcosm of one of the biggest issues that is facing our nation. And it's not limited to ethnicity, age, economic status. We have an epidemic of people that don't want to take responsibility and accountability. Did you hear what the sister said?
Right.
And she's the one that called. If you didn't want police, remember she said she wanted mental intervention and not police, and you just blew it out of the water, Bert. But the mental health specialist doesn't want to be stabbed to death either. If you don't want intervention, and I mean, this may sound insensitive, guys, but my dad was from a different generation. He solved your mental health issue by knocking you upside the head with a damn shovel. But remember, these are the same people when President Trump says we got to bring back insane asylums. How dare you? Because people are insane. And they're a danger to themselves and the community.
Yeah, people have mental health problems.
Correct.
And if you don't have a place for them to go to get better, and some people need to stay there permanently.
Correct.
There's even on medicine, they need to stay there permanently, be supervised. That's it. It's the facts.
Right.
But instead, let's close them all down and just release them out to the street. So is that fair, one, to the community, or two, to that individual who was doing fine, But you guys decided, well, let's put the money someplace else because these people, to me, they're saying these people aren't worth a hill of beans and they're not worth taking care of. He did the right thing. And there again, he's being fired, which is probably being pressured by the chief, is being politically pressured to get rid of him.
Yep.
Where if that chief let him go, he or she, I don't know who's there, they're spineless. Because there was nothing wrong that he did. And everybody, they're letting him go because they want to keep their job. You want to know what? Your frontline officers will have more respect for you standing up for them and being fired.
Correct.
Than, throwing them under the bus. And you can see which departments are like that, and they're leaving in droves.
Yes.
Because they don't have the support. People are saying, well, we have a retention problem. Yes, your retention problem, main reason, there's no support from leadership.
Yes.
On these departments. They're throwing them under the bus. Who's going to want to be a cop nowadays knowing that if you don't have good support from your leadership and your politicians, you're going to be just like that officer.
Correct.
And every officer
That's
in
right.
Austin. It was tragic. He should have been cleared. It should have been justified. Because when you see his response, you're like, he didn't want to do it, but he had to make that decision because he was trained. So,
Justice for Stevie. Justice for Stevie.
In the Iron Triangle, as Vince describes it, he says that when you go in these communities, like what we just saw in that video, you will see a unicorn before you see a racist white Republican. Yet white people and Republicans are the problem. The problem is the black preacher, the civil rights worker, and the politician. And we didn't say all, but unfortunately most. This is how they make money, guys. This is a system in play. And so we're working on another part of this, and it comes with a cost. Guys, I've lost most of the accounts I had. And
well, that's what I was going to ask you. At what cost to you has it been, emotionally and even financially?
Right.
Yeah.
What was the cost on you for speaking out, supporting law enforcement?
Yes, it's been both. Now, again, when you come from my background, the emotional part wasn't the biggest issue because I couldn't care like this. I've been outspoken conservative since 21. So, but the financial part is the bigger reason why people don't speak out, because my largest account from the largest Black Baptist church in Fort Lauderdale, I was there 20 years, and that account was canceled last year after I spoke out in 2024 about not supporting Kamala Harris, number one, for her support of defunding the police, that then she tried to lie when it was campaign time and walk it back and say she didn't say those things. And I just put a video up showing that she actually said it multiple times. See, that's not accepted. So if they can't control you emotionally, then they will try to take away your funding. And that's why, like I said, it ties back to what we're doing now. It's so important that we understand strategically as patriotic Americans that we work together, because it's been that way since the Revolutionary War.
Jim's American and Greek.
Yes.
Right? I mean, your nationality and your personal history is what you're about. But
yes,
if you've been in America your whole life, you're an American.
Correct.
I've known many Irish Americans that have gone to live in Ireland, and within a year they're back here.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, this is the greatest country in the world.
It is.
Where else can you go? And whatever work you put in is what you're getting back.
Correct.
If you want to work to be a billionaire, by God,
right,
you can work to be a billionaire.
Yes.
If you want to be the status quo, you can be the status quo.
Too.
Well, that brings us to the end of this podcast. I'd like to thank everybody. Jim, Henry, I'd like to thank you guys jumping on to the podcast. Please follow us on our website, www.nationalcenterforpolicedefense.com. We also are on X, and we look forward to seeing you. If you have any questions, please email us at info@nationalcenterforpolicedefense.com. Thank you very much for watching. God bless and have a great day.